Canucks hit the Olympic break with a dud in Vegas, falling 5-2 to the Golden Knights. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Rink Wide Vancouver studios in downtown Vancouver. The Olympic break can't come quickly enough for the Vancouver Canucks to go quietly into the Vegas night. They are done now for a couple of weeks. 5-2 was the final at T-Mobile Arena. Rink Wide brought to you in part by Bet365. I'm Jeff. He is Irf. And this is the last Canucks game we have to talk about for a couple of weeks. So there's that.
Yes.
That's the good news. But it's Rink Wide, and so we'll do what we always do, and we will break down the material that was provided. The Canucks were close there for a little while. They were right there going to the third period, and then, they started their Olympic break a little sooner than the Golden Knights did. Canucks get outshot 15-4 in the third period. What was a 3-2 game winds up a 5-2 game. Nothing doing in the first period, and then goals galore. What were there, 4 of them in a 2.5-minute span fairly early in that second period. So that part was fun, but fun is a word that's been in short supply around the Vancouver Canucks for most of this season and certainly most of this road trip as well. Poor Moms. Moms went out of the road. They were no help. They looked like they did their part to have some fun. Not around the rink, perhaps, but I don't know what it's going to take for the Canucks to look inspired. They looked like a team that was ready to put it in park here for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Jeff, at least Gavin McKenna put up some fight for his mom. It wasn't good here for the Vancouver Canucks in these last 2 games. P.O. Joseph gets off the schneid. First goal in 2 years almost for him. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a listless performance from this Vancouver hockey team, but it's something that we're used to seeing. First period 0-0. It's like, okay, are they maybe in it? Are they not in it? And you mentioned they were right there. I see what you did there, Jeff. I really do see what you did there. Yes, I'm catching. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then that second period, it was OVAH pretty quick. And they get down 1, get down 2, and then after that, I just don't think the Canucks have the fight in them to come back and just be able to mount a comeback fully in hockey games right now.
And roster freeze. The Canucks didn't do anything ahead of the roster freeze, but you do wonder on the other side when the freeze comes off, have we seen a couple of these guys for the last time? I think that's a fair question that we will ask right up until the trade deadline. 4 games, if you're counting, 4 games now between now and the NHL trade deadline on March the 6th. So they'll come out of the break. They'll play on February 25th at home to the Winnipeg Jets. Then they go down to Seattle for a game, and then a couple more home games against Dallas and Carolina. And then it's the trade deadline.
Yep.
And we shall see what comes of that for the Vancouver Canucks. Jack Eichel and Mark Stone, you're going to hear their names a fair bit here as we break this one down. Best players on the Golden Knights were the best players on the ice. And, there was that goal the other night in Utah that we said sort of summed up the Canucks season, just a complete fire drill in their own zone. Look, it happens almost every night. It happened again here on the Vegas Strip. The Dorofeyev goal to start the third period. Again, the Canucks get a goal with 9 seconds to go in the second period, and whether they belonged in this game, it's 3-2 going to the final period. Lay it on the line. Leave it all on the ice. It's the Olympic break. Most of these guys aren't going to the Olympics. And instead, Mitch Marner, you may have heard of him, racked up some points in the NHL, allowed to walk out of the corner and just stick handle through all the guys that are wearing white Canuck jerseys. Tyler Meyer, among the chief offenders there, loses the battle in the corner, gets turned around, and Marner able to slide it over to Dorofeyev, who leads the Golden Knights in goals, 25th of the season, none easier than that one. And again, just kind of sums up that's who the Vancouver Canucks are, haven't been able to defend all season long.
Well, the best part about that was you see the Myers and you see the DeBrusque, but you watch P.O. Joseph skate backwards and continue just to look at Marner.
Bring it back up one more time here,
Jacob. Bring it back up, Jacob, if you can, one more time. So watch P.O. Joseph skate. Just looked at him the whole time. I mean, he scored, so he probably gets it off a little bit, but that's just kind of the way that they defend, right? They just watch.
Exactly.
They just watch.
There's a ton of puck watching, and Jake DeBrusque was punished, didn't finish the game in the line that he started with. He had a tough night. He was on the ice for 3 of the goals, along with David Kampf and Linus Karlsson. Remember when Linus Karlsson was red hot and he got a contract extension, and like so many other guys on this team, and it's probably not fair to single out guys, but just saw him there on the replay, and like so many others, he's just gone ice cold as well. But Jake DeBrusk was replaced by Jonathan Lekkerimäki, a name we didn't hear much in the hockey game. Not much of a road trip for him after he scored the goal against Toronto the other night. But is that a promotion? At that stage of the proceedings, to replace a struggling Jake DeBrusk on a line with David Kampf. Like, you're trying to see what you've got in Lekkerimäki at the NHL level, and you give him shifts higher in the lineup, but his centerman is David Kampf, who, as we know, is not a gifted playmaker at this level, although he's headed to the Olympics for Czechia.
He won't be wholly offensive there.
Lekkerimäki picked up a couple of extra shifts, but talk about putting a guy in a position to succeed or not putting a guy in a position to succeed. But right now, I mean, so many guys on this team are struggling. The team as a whole is struggling. And so they go into the break on a 3-game losing streak. 0-2-1. They go 0-4 on the road trip with the Moms after the shootout loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's 3 straight losses after that shutout win against Anaheim last week. And look, we've done this every night. And most of you have been here with us. And man, we appreciate your loyalty and your patience with this hockey club all season long. 19 games now. 2 wins. 2-14-3 in their last 19 hockey games. That's a quarter of the season.
Yep.
That's 2 wins. So the record for the season is now 18-33-6. I know it's a lot of numbers here, but 18-33-6. They remain on 42 points, and there they shall stay for the next couple of weeks. 42 points in 57 games, so 57 down, 25 to go.
2-19 is an outrageous number. Like, when you really look and have to think about it, 2 wins in their last 21 hockey games. It can't beat anybody, really. I mean, you only beat 2 teams. You beat Anaheim, and who was the other win? Washington. That's it.
Yep.
You've lost against absolutely every other opponent, and in most of those games, they don't look like they belong on the same ice as those teams.
And just as an aside, Anaheim has picked it back up again. They've won 2 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10. One of their losses was to the Canucks. They're a couple of points back of this Vegas outfit. Like, those are costly points. Everybody else is taking points off the Vancouver Canucks, and the Anaheim Ducks flushed one here at Rogers Arena last week. And so if they end up a couple of points shy at the end of this race, they'll look back on that night as a squandered opportunity without a doubt. Hey, we want you to be a part of this. You've been there for us all season long. Don't stop now. Bring it with a super chat. Your thought on this game, anything you saw, you didn't see, the road trip, the Moms, the Olympic break. How excited are you to be able to focus on best hockey? Because certainly that's not what you have been served up here through the first 57 games of this season by the Vancouver Canucks. Bring it with a super chat. Our charity partner again this season, the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. And if you bring it with the super chat, you'll get to the top of the queue, and we will make sure that we incorporate things into the program. And we've got one from Van City Ricky, who says the St. Louis Blues just won't go away. They've given up a last-minute goal in a tie game 3 times in the last 2 weeks, all against the Dallas Stars. Now, they had the big lead the other night in Nashville.
Yep.
Let that one get away. They are masters of getting it done in regulation as well. So they're down 4-2 in Dallas tonight. And maybe they're looking and seeing the out-of-town scoreboard, and it's 3-2. And, hey, the Canucks, they might pick up points out of this thing. And for whatever reason, then St. Louis gets inspired and ties their game in Dallas at 4, only to see Jamie Benn score with 23 seconds left in the third period. So it's a regulation 5-4 loss for the St. Louis Blues. So they get nothing, but the Vancouver Canucks in the end get nothing either. And so both of those teams now head to the All-Star break, or the Olympic break rather, buried at the bottom of the standings. The gap remains 7 points. Keep this in mind, though. if people still truly believe that the Blues are going to trade pieces away and continue to plummet, it's a 7-point gap. But St. Louis has 19 regulation wins compared to the Canucks 12. And that's the first tiebreaker in all of this.
Yeah.
So the gap is 7, but it really is essentially 8 because I don't know that the Canucks are getting 7 more regulation wins in their final 25 games. Like, I don't think they're matching the Blues for the tiebreaker. And so if somehow they ended on even on points, then they would go to the first tiebreaker in the National Hockey League. And right now, St. Louis with way more regulation wins than the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, I think when you look at it, you just mentioned it right there. They're not getting 7 regulation wins in their last 25 games. I just can't see it. I mean, there are some beatable opponents that come into Rogers Arena. You might get teams on the second of back-to-backs where it's a backup goalie and they don't really care. But the problem is, Jeff, does this team even care? Are they going out every single night being like, we can win this hockey game? We've got to win this hockey game. We got to have it from the jump. It's going to be us, or it's got to be us tonight, because what we just watched in their last 21 games, there ain't been a lot of that either.
No. Let's get to the 3 stars. Clean sweep for the Vegases in this one. We considered the line of Bluger, Garland, and Ogren. They're going, and they had a nice road trip, and it's good to see Connor Garland producing again, and Liam Ogren with points in 3 straight. And look at Teddy Bluger go. A couple of assists in this one. They were both secondary assists, although the play that he makes to headman the pass to Ogren and then over to DPD for the first Canuck goal, it was a heads-up play by Teddy Bluger, who, again, continuing his strong performance since coming back from injury, but there wasn't a Canuck that found his way into the 3 stars. So 3 stars brought to you by Greta Bar, YVR Super Bowl on Sunday. The Olympic Games are upon us now. When the Canucks resume, it's a great atmosphere. It's a great place to go and watch big games in any sport. And I'm sure Greta will be hopping as the Olympics unfold. And, of course, Sunday for the Seahawks and the Patriots as well. They got all the big screens, not a bad seat in the house. They've got the arcade games, food and drink specials, you name it. Check, check, check. They check off all the boxes. Greta Bar, the place to be. 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. 3 stars in this one. In the building, the 3 stars: Jack Eichel, Ivan Barbashev, and Akira Schmid.
Okay.
The Canucks barely tested the guy, although he did make one of the saves of the year, and we'll certainly talk about that one. We went in a slightly different direction. I mean, lots of candidates is what that tells you, that they spread the wealth here. It's just a balanced attack. I mean, that's what the Vegas Golden Knights are all about. They got a ton of injuries, but they're finding ways, as the good teams do. I thought Jack Eichel was dealing. He opened the scoring, wicked wrist shot off the post and in. David Kamp looked like he might have been able to do a little more to get in front of it, but didn't. And Eichel makes no mistake with his 20th of the season, and that started that run of goals. Cole Reinhardt scores just over a minute later, and then DPD scored 38 seconds after that. 2-1 hockey game, not for long. Ivan Barbashev then gets into the act and restored the 2-goal lead for the Golden Knights. There's Pavel Dorofeyev. We talked about easy tap-in. Didn't have to do a lot of work there, but 7 shots on goal for him. So a game-high 7 shots, 12 attempts. Guy had the puck on his stick, got off a lot in this hockey game, and was able to find the net early in that third period. So Pavel Dorofeyev is the 2nd star. And there's Mark Stone, the veteran. He's heading to Milano, decked out in Canadian gear. Didn't have to cheer for him necessarily if you're a Canucks fan tonight, but you will when he reps Team Canada once again. Couple of assists, and more than that, just sort of the prototypical Mark Stone game. You go under the hood and you look at the underlying numbers. Shot attempts were 19-4 in Vegas' favor with Stone on the ice, so an individual Corsi, 82.6%. Shots were 10-3. The goals were 2-0. That's what Mark Stone does. Has enough offensive talent to make things happen, and is just still such a stout defender, and has a great stick and disruptive and all that kind of stuff. So, it wasn't a dominant performance from him, but he still figures in a couple of the goals and plays very solid defense. Mark Stone is the 3rd star here on Rink Wide. So, clean sweep for the Vegas Golden Knights.
No problem with any of those for us. I know we're going to get to our Bet365 line of the night later, but if you want one always, Pavel Dorofeyev over in shots.
Yeah.
The line's always very low. Dude always has like 4, 5, 6, 7. He's always firing the puck to the net. He's doing exactly what he should do as a scoring forward. And Mark Stone, I haven't met anyone or talked to any player that's played with Mark Stone that hasn't said that this guy's like the smartest hockey player they've ever played with. You mentioned the good stick, you mentioned the hockey IQ and all that. So obviously, Canadians going to be cheering for him here in the next couple of weeks. But Mark Stone, there's a reason why he was named captain of that team. There's a reason why Vegas gave up a lot to get him, and obviously won a Stanley Cup.
Susie in the chat says, kind of stoked to watch Team Canada. Haha. That'll be refreshing. Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people that would echo that sentiment. And you're going to sit and you're going to watch best on best, and you go, man, this looks like fast, competitive hockey, things that we generally haven't said through 57 games for the Vancouver Canucks. It is a Vancouver Canucks post-game pod, though, so as much as we can salute the Vegas Golden Knights, we should turn our attention to some of the things that the Canucks did in this hockey game. Let's start with their best line, certainly on the road trip, and not a surprise. Connor Garland and Teddy Bluger have played together. Dakota Joshua on that line had some success a couple of years ago. Now it's Liam Ogren who is finding his way. They factor in both of the goals, plus that golden opportunity for P.O. Joseph midway through the second period. We talked about Connor Garland and the fact that he had gone the 13 games without points, then he had 2 assists the other night. He ends up with 1 assist in this hockey game, but probably should have had 2. If not for the heroics of Akira Schmidt diving across the net to rob P.O. Joseph, who then got his measure of revenge because he does score late in that second period. But Bluger, Ogren, Garland, every time the Canucks were buzzing in this hockey game, it was that trio. It was the only line that was going in this hockey game.
Liam Ogren showing every bit of why he was a first-round pick for the Minnesota Wild. 19th overall. He's 22 years old. He's now finally starting to come into his own. And I mean, I think I can say it. I think he's going to be a player. I really do. I think that there are signs in his game that we talked about it last game that show he's got that hockey IQ. He knows where to be. And when he's playing with players up the lineup that are as skilled as him, that think the game like him, he does things at, a higher level. You play lower in the lineup. You talked about Jonathan Lekkerimäki not being put in a position to succeed. Right now, Liam Ogren is being put in that position. And that's what you want to see from your young guys. And that helps with their confidence. It helps with their game. That helps with everything. I really do like that line. Now, the problem with that line is who's going to center it when they trade Teddy Bluger?
You're right. Yep, bang on. Ogren plays 17 minutes and 21 seconds. Connor Garland was the only forward that played more, and that was one of his line mates in this hockey game. So, the coach recognizes who's going. It's a reward. Those guys continuing to get shifts when others weren't. And, again, they contribute the 2 goals for the Vancouver Canucks, but just manufactured things. Like when they were out there, they were causing problems for the Vegas Golden Knights. Not enough guys wearing Canuck uniforms doing that. But at the end of this hockey game, that trio, shot attempts at even strength were 18-11. So positive shot differential. The actual shots were 12-5. They outscored their opponents 2-1. That's a solid night at the office against a very good Vegas team that extends its lead atop the Pacific Division. So, yeah, kudos to that trio, and we'll see how long they last because, as you said, Teddy Bluger on the block, playing well, picking up more points here, and you just have to think that he's going to get attention around the National Hockey League ahead of that March 6th trade deadline. Now, that is the good news. There wasn't a whole lot of other good news for the Vancouver Canucks. I will say, we've done enough of these shows where there's been a moment in a game and we've said, where's the pushback? Brock Besser gets drilled by Brian Rust. Nothing doing. There have been other instances. It wasn't an egregious thing, but early in the hockey game, Jeremy Lauzon with a late shot. I think the puck had come outside the zone. I think it was called offside, and Lauzon still took a shot. And it was good to see Atu Ratu and D. Petey got in his face at the very least. And that's all people are asking for. You don't have to drop your gloves and fight the guy in that moment, but just let him know that, a shot after the whistle, the code in hockey, whatever. As a team, you got to stand up for your goaltender, and there has to be a little bit of pushback there. So I was just glad to see. Again, it wasn't a huge thing, but on a night when there wasn't a whole lot there, at least I saw a little bit of a response. Now, later in that period.
Yeah, I was just about to say, are you talking about Kolzar?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Look, the Vegas Golden Knights are the least penalized team in the National Hockey League. They are a disciplined bunch. You saw it play out with 1 power play each in the first period here. How in the world is that not a penalty, though? Keegan Kolesar goes right after D. Petey, gloves up into the face, buckles him over the bench. There's rules. There's a rule book in place here. When a guy crosses a line, the guys with stripes are supposed to make a call. And I'm not saying that the Canucks lost this game because they didn't get a second power play.
No.
But Colzar worked DPD on that shift. Didn't like to see that necessarily.
No, and he kind of got hit where the boards opened a little bit, and it's that kind of in a dangerous spot. I mean, we all remember way back, Canucks fans remember the Cal Clutterbuck hit on Brock Besser, gate opening. That was a very unfortunate incident there, but hits in that area you don't want to see. And Colzar had one mind the whole time. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He was going to finish his check, whether it was interference, whether it was charging. Could have been one of the two. You don't want to see that, and you hope that you mentioned that there would have been some pushback there from that team. I mean, Elias Pettersson does end up scoring, so good for him in the hockey game. But, didn't like that hit at all. I thought that there could have been a penalty on it, and obviously there wasn't.
Yeah, the hit itself, like if he just finishes the hit, but I thought he got his gloves up into his face as he sort of finished the check there.
Yeah, kind of left his feet at the end a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was enough there to, whatever you want to call it, roughing, boarding. But referee said play on, and play on they did. Hey, if you want a chance to see the Canucks out on the road, we've got the Ultimate Canucks Road Trip, but you can enter a chance to win. You get Pacific Blue Cross Travel Insurance for your chance to see the Canucks on the road, complete with flights, hotel, lower bowl tickets, and more. No purchase necessary. Must be a BC resident. Contest ends on February 28th, so it'll carry through the Olympic break here. But why waste your time or wait any longer? Enter now. Full contest details and to enter, go to pacificbluecross.ca/Canucks. All right, let's get to the stat that stands out in this hockey game. We talked about the fact that the Canucks didn't mount a whole lot of offense. This is the 6th straight game that they've scored 2 goals, and just 2 goals. Happened against Pittsburgh. It happened against San Jose. They beat Anaheim 2-0, 2 against Toronto, 2 in Utah, and 2 more here tonight. So 1 win and 1 overtime, or a shootout loss, 1 4-1. That's what happens when you only score 2 goals. You're not going to win very often, and as a result, the Canucks have not accomplished much here over the last little while, but it goes deeper than that. We always talk about small sample sizes. This isn't a small sample.
We got a big sample.
15 games now. Canucks have scored 29 goals. So they're averaging less than 2 goals per game over the last 15. Like, how? How do you expect to win hockey games? I mean, you're going to have to do it 2-0 like they did against the Ducks, but obviously that doesn't happen very often. So, they're so porous defensively. They continue to just give up goals at an outrageous rate, but the flip side is that they're just not scoring goals either. And so that is a caustic combination, and you do the math, you're not going to come out on top very often, and they haven't.
How long's Brock been out? I think it's
This is his fifth
game?
Yeah.
So beyond him in that top 6 forward group, Garland was out for a bit too in that stretch of the 15 games, I think.
Yeah.
They've pretty much had everybody.
Yep.
Right? They've had DeBrusk, they've had Evander Kane, they've had Elias Pettersson. They've had their arsenal of what they call weapons up front. They've been able to go and play these games.
Their best players.
Yeah.
Drew O'Connor, Linus Karlsson.
And then you just go look at our 3 stars and the score in this hockey game, and you look at the score sheet and who was involved.
Right.
Their best players.
So you're going to make me do this again. We'll just leave it as a reminder heading into the Olympic break. Garland, no goals in 19 games. Aatu Räty, no goals in 19 games. David Kampf, no goals in 16 games. Elias Pettersson, no goals in 11. He was completely invisible on this road trip.
Yeah.
I know, that's not a news flash, but on the road trip, there was nothing doing for EP40. 2 shots on goal in this one, 11 shots in the last 11 games, no goals. Jake DeBrusk, 1 goal in 14 games. Linus Karlsson, 1 goal in 15 games. And Philip Hedl, who didn't play because of the migraines, has been a complete non-factor as well. I mean, there's 6 or 7 of your forwards, and they are all in these just massive droughts. But EP40, this is frustrating. I wanted to believe that he would want to ramp up to the Olympics here. And so I asked on social, and we've talked about this as well, his role at the Olympic Games. this is best on best. Like we saw it at Four Nations. The best players in the world are going to be hungry and motivated. And like, can he elevate his game at this stage?
I don't know. If you can't get up for playing at the Olympics, and you saw how the four seasons, you saw how the Four Nations, some of them might be going to the Four Seasons. You saw how the Four Nations treated him and how he was a non-factor in games there. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where they slot him in. Is he going to be between Philip Forsberg and William Nylander? And if that's at least where he's going to start, does he end up staying there? And is he going to be a guy that maybe just is a PK guy for that team? That could very well be his role, where he goes to the Olympics and he just ends up being their PK guy.
Wild.
Yeah. I mean, well, you look at their rosters and their centers, like they've got a lot of depth. Elias Lindholm's playing on the wing right now. It's like he's a guy, I mean, obviously he's hurt.
I think Willie Nylander wants EP40 as his center?
No, I don't. I actually really don't think that. I don't think Jesper DeBrat does either.
Yeah.
I don't think Erik Karlsson does either.
Yeah. Walk in the chat says, notice how JPAT mentioned only veterans, and Foot keeps using the excuse of us being a young team. The young players are the only good ones. And
true.
This is part of the issue that, we talk about. Is it a rebuild? Until they start moving out some of these veteran guys, then all you're doing is trading away the easy pieces. Kiefer Sherwood was a pending unrestricted free agent. Teddy Bluger, Evander Kane. I don't know if there's a market for David Kampf. Like a playoff-bound team.
No. They already have one.
That's just it. Like most teams, their best prospect in the minors is probably more impactful than David Kampf. So why would you want to part with assets? I'm not sure that there is trade value in David Kampf. And you can say, well, some penalty killing utility and face-offs. I don't know. I mean, I'll be surprised. I get that he's on an expiring contract. That in and of itself, and he's cheap, sure. But I just don't know that there's a team out there that thinks, that's a piece that we have to add. So
yeah.
But Bluger's trade value is working its way up. There's no doubt. He's been the best Canuck since he got back in the lineup a couple of weeks ago.
And he's serviceable, right? We talked about it last show that he's definitely a guy that a team can look at and say, okay, we can get him. He can help us down the stretch run. He can put us over the edge. He can be a PK guy if we need him to. The Canucks just put out on their socials Olympic transactions. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, Victor Mancini, and Nikita Tolopilo have been assigned to Abbotsford. Yuri Patera has been recalled from Abbotsford on emergency conditions.
And that's interesting because Patera now gets an Olympic break.
Yeah.
NHL rules stipulate that you have to have 2 healthy goaltenders on your roster, and this is a roster freeze. So, as it sounds, rosters are placed. I mean, they got through this game, but they want Tolopilo to play a few games down. In the American Hockey League now, the AHL will have its All-Star break as well. I'd have to look. I think Abbotsford's got 4 or 5 games over the course of the NHL Olympic break, but that makes sense. Lekkerimäki going back down. Again, he was awfully quiet on this road trip, not necessarily put in a position to succeed. He lost his spot on power play 1. Connor Garland was back there on the 1 power play that they did have. And Mancini, you just wonder. You wonder about his NHL future here. Certainly with this coach. He went out on the road. They are dead last in the National Hockey League, and this guy was practicing as a winger, as a placeholder for Connor Garland, who didn't practice yesterday. 4 games now. He's been a healthy scratch. And P.O. Joseph's going out there and scoring goals. And, in fact, the defensive contributed 5 of the last 10 goals that the Canucks have scored.
Yeah.
2 of those last 5 games, the San Jose game and this one, defenseman scored both of the goals for the Vancouver Canucks. So we talk about the struggles of the forwards. If it wasn't for the defenseman, it would be way worse for this Vancouver Canuck hockey team. But D. Petey gets his second of the year, and P.O. Joseph with his first, as you said, almost a full year?
April 4th, 2024.
Oh, so coming up on
almost 2 years.
Full years for P.O. Joseph. But Victor Mancini just needs to play. So I think it makes sense that he goes back and all right. Well, I'm glad that the Canucks put that out because I was wondering what was going to happen, and I wasn't sure if Adam Foote would be asked about that. So there you go. That is a little bit of transactional news on the part of the Vancouver Canucks as they roll into this Olympic break.
The thing that worries me about getting the young guys in and playing the young guys in positions to succeed is their veterans aren't doing anything.
Right.
Like when the veterans look like they don't care, how are the young guys supposed to go to games and get ready and be professionals when no one's there setting an example for you? And I think that when you look at this roster right now, there aren't very many veterans on this team that will go and do that. Tyler Myers, he's a great guy, and he's going to be good off the ice. He's going to get into hockey ops. He's going to be great in whatever role he chooses to do. But he's not a guy that's going to do that. He's not a very vocal guy. Connor Garland, who knows what his future is going to be here in Vancouver, right? And then you look at a guy like Evander Kane. He's probably on his way out, or at least the Canucks hope that they can move him. Elias Pettersson, I don't think you and I can sit here and say that he's a leader among men in this locker room or on a team. And then I think that beyond that, you look at a guy like Brock Besser, obviously very quiet leader in what he does, but they just don't have anyone that is really there. Now, whether that's going to have to be groomed from within and it's going to end up as being a Zeev Buum for some part of his career, whether Braden Coots is going to come in, whether it's Gavin McKenna or Ivar Stenberg or whoever they get, they're going to have to find a leader from one of their young guys that's going to want to grow and be with this hockey team for the foreseeable future. Because right now, when you look at that roster, Jeff, it's really hard to find someone that really wants to lead this hockey team.
All right, our man on the scene down in Vegas, Blake Price, who I was in studio with him this morning. He was at the game in Vegas tonight.
What, did he get a PJ or what?
Guy gets around. But if that doesn't sum it up, Blake with the photo evidence, what do the Canucks need right now? They need help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a sad Canuck fan leaving the building.
Whose jersey is that?
A couple of Crosby jerseys. That's a good question. It looks like a 17 that was covered.
Oh, no, it is a 17 that's covered, and it is covered in the letters as well.
Yes.
Okay, yep, that's still right. Yep.
Got to do some sleuthing, though.
Yes.
What was the original? It's like...
I think it's Kessler.
Yeah, but there's an H in there.
I think it's a made H, no?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
I can play along.
That's definitely Kessler with some parts of the letters covered up to make help.
Yeah.
All right. Well, high marks for creativity.
Yeah.
And I don't know if help's on the way with 25 games to go for the Vancouver Canucks, but I do know that Adam Foote's on the way. He has spoken to the media, and I'm sure he'll enjoy the break from that part of the job. If nothing else, I hope he goes and finds a little sunshine somewhere, because it's been doom and gloom around this hockey club all season long. Here's the head coach in the wake of a 5-2 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Adam, I know this probably wasn't the way you wanted to finish the break, but your takeaways from tonight's game?
Well, we had some good things going on. I mean, there was a couple of lines going, a couple guys weren't. They were just, you make a mistake, there are bigger bodies around the net, and we had some positives we'll take out of that, but we'll grow from that game.
Nice to see P.O. Joseph get his first as a Canuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to see him get his first. Nice play on that one.
I know you're probably sick of talking about it, but another couple of spells, 3 goals in 2.5 minutes, and then 2 in a minute in the third. How do you get away from that?
You got to experience it. I don't know. We're a young team, and it's what we're gonna see blips of it here and there, right? We need everyone on board, and when we're playing our best hockey, everyone is, and we had blips of it today, but we just have a tiny breakdown there, and a couple mistakes on a couple goals, and they leave the slot open just on bad reads, and that'll continue to be worked on. But it is what it is. It's a young group, and at this level with a team that experience, they're going to take advantage of that in those situations.
How do you hope this break affects your team? I mean, obviously not the way you wanted to go into it with tonight, and obviously the game in Salt Lake as well, but in terms of just offering your group a reset, is this valuable?
I think so. There's been a lot of things going on with this group, this year, and we'll get a bit of a break here, but also we want guys to be smart, especially our young guys that haven't experienced something like this. You got to take care of yourself, and we addressed it, and we'll come back to work, and those blips you're talking about, or those 3-minute lulls, we'll keep working on that to correct that, and every game that goes by, you hope that we learn from it and we can be more solid when things don't go our way.
Do you feel like you've stumbled into or not stumbled, but do you think you found something with Liam, Bluger, and Connor?
Yeah, I mean, they're a nice line. They're working well together. They're gelling. They're working for each other. I mean, Blug's played with Garley for a long time, and I think they're Liam's a smart player, but I also think they're working with him, and it seems like they have got some chemistry for sure.
All right, there you go, Adam Foote. Fairly level-headed. Again, I think he's got visions of a beach and sunshine and waves lapping the shore for the next week or so. I'm not sure what his plans are, but I do hope that he can get away from all of this. Right off the top, he said had some lines that were going, some lines that weren't. And he had one line that was going. I'm not sure that that's plural, but yeah. And then at the end, he talked about the line of Bluger and Ogren and Garland. But as you point out, I mean, if all goes well for the Vancouver Canucks, that line's not going to be a line beyond March the 6th. So
Max Sesson is going to get back into the lineup.
Enjoy it. Well, he was in the lineup tonight, but hard to find. Shifted him to the wing so that Atu Ratu could play center ice. And yeah, I mean, if they pull Bluger and trade him, again, it just speaks to how thin they are up the middle. I don't know what their plans are for Marco Rossi. I have no idea where he is in his recovery of all of this. I think I'm ready to move forward without Philip Hedl for the rest of the season. We didn't get an update on the migraines there, but you can't count on him. Even if he does get back in the lineup, there's just not a dependability around Philip Hedl at this stage of his career. So, as much as I think Max Sasson should abandon the center ice position and focus on being a winger, I mean, they may need him to slot back into the middle here. It can get worse. Well, that's the problem is you take Teddy Bluger out of this thing, it can and it will get worse for the Vancouver Canucks.
You want to know why? Because the guy that it all depends on is Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
And that's why it can get worse.
Want to talk about Kevin Lankinen, and we'll do that in a sec. Before that, though, we've told you on a couple of recent shows here that the Nation Network has partnered with Levelwear, a great Canadian sportswear company, and you're seeing athletes from all kinds of pro sports getting into golf, hockey, basketball, football players, even surfers are using it as a competitive outlet, a way to hang out and just enjoy the sport differently. That shift is exactly where the Hurley and Levelwear collaboration comes in. Hurley's bringing the laid-back board sports energy. Collection pulls inspiration from Hawaiian and coastal prints, relaxed, expressive, rooted in lifestyle. And then Levelwear comes in and they take that inspiration and ratchet it up a couple of notches. They bring it to life through performance-driven, sustainably made apparel that's actually built to move and play. And the result is the good-looking Fair Waves collection, modern golf silhouettes that feel lighter, more wearable, less rigid, respectful of the game's roots, but definitely not stuck in tradition. Check them out online, levelwear.com. You can see the polos, the hoodies, the hats, and the casuals. All right, another night, another loss for Kevin Lankinen. What about the decision to start Lankinen after the loss in Utah? Heading into the Olympic break, this is a guy that is going to go represent Finland. Don't know what role he'll play there. Were you surprised when you heard that it was going to be Lankinen tonight?
The only way that I think this makes sense is if Kevin Lankinen says, I want to play. I want to feel good about my game. I want to be okay. I want another game before I'm off for about a week before the Olympics. Right? Because the men's tournament doesn't start until late next week.
Yep.
So maybe Kevin Lankinen says, give me one more game. I'm going to get on a long flight, this, that, and the other. But otherwise, it doesn't make sense at all. From that point of view.
I was worried about the injury factor.
Yeah, well, I mean, that too. That's why it worried me. But that's why it only makes sense to me is Kevin Lankinen when they had a discussion about it, he probably was like, I want to play.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly like he rediscovered
of
top
course
form
not.
in this one. And it was always going to be difficult against a Vegas team that can and did score goals. Lankinen ends up giving up 5 on 31 shots. I thought he was good in the first period. Mm-hmm. The save that he made on Jeremy Lauzon, who he got penalized for the late shot after the whistle, steps out of the penalty box on a 2-on-1, and Lankinen read it perfectly, got across the net, made his best save of the night there. He looked stable in the first period. Shots were 8-7. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but didn't give up the early goal, didn't get into trouble. But then trouble showed up on his doorstep early in that second period. And so, I'd go through the goals. Like the Eichel shot, that's a big-time goal scorer's goal. I'm not sure that I pin that on the goaltender there. Reinhart able just to slice through the Canucks defense. It was Willander. It was Marcus Pettersson, and it was like they weren't there. Cole Reinhart stick handles in. Again, not on the goaltender. The Barbashev goal, and Adam Foote talked about it. And we've seen so many of these goals. The Canucks just giving up the middle of the ice. This is the NHL. You give guys the time and space from 15, 20 feet out, they're going to pick their spots. Yeah. And Barbashev scored goals in this league. He did that. So, again, I'm not sure that there was a bad goal among the bunch. But 5 is too many, and this team's just not going to come close to winning hockey games when they give up 5. So another night for Lankinen, and he goes to the Olympics, Irv, with 1 win in his last 11 starts.
Yeah, you're not going to feel really good about your game there. But, again, I mean, your team's a little bit better in front of you at the Olympics. Let me ask you this. The numbers obviously are there. The efforts probably are there. Like, is there anything – we've done this show – for a while now. In these last 21 games, when their record has been 2-19, the 2 wins that they had against Washington and Anaheim, like, is there anything that you take away or chalk up and say that there have been signs of effort other than Liam Ogren? I think Bluger, other than that Ogren, Bluger, Garland line, like, what really has been there where we can look at?
Well, Tolopilo was good.
Yeah.
And they elected to go away from him and hadn't played since the shootout loss to Toronto the other night. So he'll go down, get some games in Abbotsford, and then I would assume they'll bring him back up out of the break. And 25 games to go, like, Demko's not coming back. And so it really does feel like a 25-game addition for Nikita Tolopilo. It's got to be close to a 50-50 split. I'm sorry. Like, I know that you're committed to Kevin Lankinen. He's got the contract. You need to see what you've got in Nikita Tolopilo, and like, if it turns out to be a 15-10 kind of split in Lankinen's favor, I think they have missed the boat. So, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We'll see how it unfolds there, but I want to see more Tolopilo. I'm fine if Lankinen went to the coaching staff and said, like, I want this game. Didn't do much with it, but I'm with you. I understand the reasoning there at the very least, but yikes. It's been a disastrous season for the Vancouver Canucks and for a lot of individuals, but Kevin Lankinen is right up there at the top of the list in terms of guys that have underperformed for this hockey club, and I know it's not exactly an environment for any goaltender to shine. Should we hear from P.O. Joseph?
Yeah, why not?
We don't hear from P.O. Joseph. They did a nice TV feature.
We're going to have some fun after this.
Yeah, they did a nice TV feature the other night, visit to the Children's Hospital, and he just talked about how grateful he is for life in the National Hockey League. And so, yeah, it was kind of cool for him to score and have Mom on the road trip there to see it. Here's P.O. Joseph after the 5-2 loss in Vegas.
Well, P.O., I know this wasn't exactly the way you guys wanted to end heading into the break, but what were the takeaways from tonight's game?
Yeah, I think we played. There's a lot of good things that we did tonight, and we got to focus on the little details that make us kind of slip into games like that. But I think there's a lot of positive, and we got to sit back with the break and come back to a good mindset.
You get your first goal as a Canuck, and not only that, you have your mom in the building for it. How special was that, even though the result didn't fall your way? Yeah,
I mean, it's just trying to help the team win as possible, and to do it in front of her is special. We don't get to see each other often, and I guess it's a good little end of the trip kind of gift to her. But it felt good to score and try to help the team.
How important is this next 2 weeks, just in terms of taking a break for the team?
Yeah, I think it's not taking a break from the team. I think it's a mental reset. It's not the way that we want to play some hockey here in Vancouver. But good luck to the people here going to the Olympics. And I think it's just a good mindset to take a step back here, take a mental reset, a body reset, and like I said, we come back stronger.
There you go, P.O. Joseph, Mom there to see his first goal of the season. Just looking at the ice times for the Vancouver Canucks, and there's not a ton to glean here. Everybody was in double digits, so it wasn't like anybody was parked. Interesting to see Philip Hronek, only 17 minutes of ice time, a guy that has logged a ton and played particularly well, and he's headed to the Olympics and will be leaned on by Czechia. But just surprised to see him at 17 minutes and 6 seconds. Didn't have a shot on goal in this hockey game. He had the one defensive play in the third where he got worked, and you don't see that often where he gets beaten cleanly one-on-one. But, not a heavy workload for him. Marcus Pettersson leading all Canucks in ice time at 23 minutes and 6 seconds in this game.
The P.O. Joseph, I mean, look, I think it's not a reset. I think it's more so a mental reset for this team. Just get away, 1, 2, 3, Cabo. Like, just go, do your thing, and enjoy it. Get away for a little bit and do what you need to do to come back. Because when you come back, trades aren't going to happen right away. You're still going to be this same hockey team. This is who you are as the Vancouver Canucks. You still have to play NHL games against NHL opponents, and right now you're not as good. So this is a mental break from the team. Get away. Go do whatever you need to do, and hopefully come back and you might win a game in 5 or something.
I wonder how many of them, if any, would stick around Vegas. Send moms home and start your Olympic break a couple extra nights there in Sin City. We'll see about that. And I am curious about what we'll see on the other side when the roster freeze lifts, because I wonder if there will be some teams that try to get ahead of the curve here. If you're one of these teams that's right there bumping up against the playoff bar, why wouldn't you want to bring in a player or two, a couple of weeks early, get a couple of games in instead of waiting right up to the trade deadline? So we'll see how it all plays out. Again, the candidates, and I guess we'll wait to see if we're surprised at all by anything Canucks management does in terms of moving out veterans that still have some term. All right, we're going to get to our Bet365 line of the night, but we just thought, why not?
Yeah, let's
57
have some fun.
games, the Olympic break, fun has been in short supply when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks. So, yeah, it's time.
It's Tankathon time,
It
baby.
is Tankathon time.
Let's run the simulator. All right, here we go, Jacob. Hit the button now.
All right, what do we got?
First overall, the Winnipeg Jets, followed by the St. Louis Blues, and the Vancouver Canucks dropped 2 spots to 3rd overall. Okay, we'll run it 3 times because I think it'll be fun. Run it again. First overall, the St. Louis Blues, followed by the Chicago Blackhawks, and then the Vancouver Canucks falling 2 spots
That's
yet
frightening.
again.
That is frightening, though.
Yeah.
If the Chicago Blackhawks end up with the 2nd overall pick again.
They're going to get the Frondell and then take Stenberg. They have both Frölunda guys. That'll be nutso. Okay, here's the 3rd time we're going to run it. The Vancouver Canucks up to 2nd overall with the Preds winning, and the St. Louis Blues.
Predators are going to send their new general manager up to the podium to make the 1st overall pick.
So we ran this 3 times, and the Canucks have not gotten 1st overall.
I did this the other day, and it took me 10 times until the Canucks got the first one.
Well, the Canucks hope they're only running it once.
I know.
When it's all said and done.
It's instructive because lotteries by design produce more losers than winners.
Yes.
And so while you may have the best odds, they're not good odds. And so 25% to get the top pick, but the odds will suggest that the Canucks are going to finish with the 3rd selection. So we'll have to wait. They got to buck the odds. Even if they have the best odds, they are still not good odds to win the lottery. We'll spend more time, and I'm sure we'll spin the wheel a little bit more as we work our way. We got to entertain ourselves here on Rink Wide sometimes. All right, Bet365, line of the night.
All right, well, you know where I'm going with 1 game left for some teams before the Olympic break. I'm going to go to the 2 games where there are many Olympians playing. The Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning. Lots of Olympians on both sides. And the Vegas Golden Knights have a lot. The LA Kings have a few. So, as Jacob once said, you hate cheering for an under in bets. But I think that these 4 teams are going to coast right through these hockey games and hope nobody gets hurt. It's going to be low event. It's going to be one giant game of shinny. So give me the under 6 goals for Florida Panthers and Tampa, the under 5.5 in Vegas. Hosting the LA Kings. Panarin won't play for them. He's going to meet the team and practice with them and then make his debut after the Olympic break. But anyways, whatever you bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Get in the code. Use code NATION. Must be 19 to play. Please play responsibly.
Yeah, and that's interesting because the Kings are below the playoff bar. And you would have thought, well, you make your trade, you want your shiny new toy. But remember, he hasn't played in 10 days.
Yeah.
And they just thought it was too much. Give him his break. Come back, get almost a week of like a midseason training camp with his new team, see what number he wants because Corey Perry is wearing number 10 there for the LA Kings. The updated standings as the Canucks finish, but as you point out, there are a bunch of games tomorrow, mostly in the East, and then Los Angeles at Vegas. So back-to-back games on home ice for the Vegas Golden Knights before they hit the Olympic break. The Golden Knights atop the Pacific Division with 66 points. Edmonton lost in Calgary. Oilers go into their break on a 3-game losing streak. They've got 64 points, so they're 2 back of Vegas, but the Golden Knights, remember, have a couple of games in hand there. Seattle Kraken beat Los Angeles tonight. Kraken are 3 points out of the Pacific Division lead. Like, how is that even possible? And yet, there they are. The numbers don't lie. Seattle, just a point back of Edmonton with 2 games in hand on the Oilers. And then you've got Utah and Anaheim sitting in the wild card spots.
If the Kraken make the playoffs, Lane Lambert should get Coach of the Year consideration.
He should be in the discussion. Again, I still think the job that John Cooper is doing in Tampa,
and he had still 1,000 games coach, never won it either.
That is one of the craziest things in hockey when you just think of the success that he has had behind that Tampa bench. But no, I think Lane Lambert's done a nice job there, kind of quietly. And for a while, like they traded away Mason Marchment before Christmas, and you thought, all right, are they sort of giving up? And a team that lacks star power, but through it all, it's amazing what goaltending can do. And they have had terrific goaltending with Joey Decord and a resurgent Philip Grubauer. All right, so the Canucks lose in Vegas 5-2. Limp into this Olympic break. They'll have their handful of Olympians that will make their way over to Milano. The Olympic Games started with curling. We see women's hockey on Thursday, opening ceremony on Friday, and then we're about a week away from the men's hockey tournament. Can't get here quickly enough. As for the National Hockey League, again, Canucks are done now. But what's next for them? After the break, they will return to practice tentatively scheduled for February 18th. So the guys that aren't at the Olympics, they'll reconvene here in Vancouver. Adam Foote will have a chance to work with a big group of guys, but not all his team. So they won't be full practices. Obviously, you're going to be missing key players. Hard to work on power play and those types of things. But the ones that are here, they'll get in a workout. Canucks are at home to Winnipeg on February 25th. That is the start of their 25-game stretch run. In Seattle on Saturday, February 28th, and then home to Dallas and Carolina. That takes them up to the trade deadline. They are in Chicago on the night of the trade deadline. 11 of the first 14 are at home, which at this stage of the proceedings doesn't really matter, except that they just came off an 8-game homestand, and that was tough to watch on a lot of nights. 11 of the next 14 are at home, and then they finish up with 8 of their final 11 on the road. So 14 of the final 25 games that they've got will be played at Rogers Arena, and maybe most importantly in all of this, when they get back to work, that final swath of burgundy seats should be replaced. We were told by staff that, yes, Rogers Arena will be entirely black seats when the schedule continues. So it has been a slog.
Yeah.
But, man, do we appreciate your support, sticking with us here at Rink Wide, the contributions with Super Chats to the BC Mental Health Foundation. We remind you as well, if you don't already, give us a follow and subscribe to our Rink Wide YouTube channel. We've been doing practice reports throughout the season. There's going to be a fair number of practice reports to come with all the home games and with sort of the mini training camp out of the Olympic break. So, we'll post videos and player scrums, anything that happened at the rink. Hit subscribe, set your notifications. You won't miss a single thing. All right. I think that's going to do it for us.
All right, partner. Enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Get some sun.
Well, a little bit.
A little bit.
May have a little bit of color when we get back.
There we go.
Doing this again.
I'll keep mine.
Well, I'll try and look like you when I get back. We'll be twins, basically. Maybe not. Our thanks to Jacob helping out behind the scenes. I got the interns in here as well. So cast of thousands putting Rink Wide together. We will step aside. Sakaris and Price will continue through the Olympic break. Canuck Convo, I think, will be sporadic through the Olympic break as well. And, of course, Canucks Army with anything that happens regarding the hockey club and keeping a close eye on all of the Canuck Olympians as well. So add that to your list of daily reads. So make sure that you're checking out Canucks Army. All right, Irf, enjoy your break.
I will. You too, sir.
I know that you're going to be watching the Olympics, and you got some shows as well here on the Nation Network, so people should be checking that out. The hockey at the NHL level stops, but content continues here on most of our shows. But Rink Wide and Canucks postgame pod and live stream, we work when they work. So we'll be back with our next episode on February 25th after the Canucks host the Winnipeg Jets. But for Irf, I'm Jeff. Enjoy the Olympics, everybody. That's going to do it for this episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.